The antique dealer's voice on the phone was hesitant, almost apologetic. "Mr. Harrison, I need to verify something. A woman came in yesterday trying to sell a Victorian music box. The inscription inside says, 'To Margaret, my eternal melody. All my love, Robert.' That's you, isn't it?" I stopped breathing. Margaret's music box. The one I'd given her on our 30th anniversary, 3 years before cancer took her. The one that sat on her dresser, that she'd wind up every night before bed. The one I couldn't bear to touch for 2 years after she died. "Sir, are you still there?" "Who was this woman?" My hand gripped the phone so tight my knuckles went white. "She said she was your daughter-in-law. Vanessa Harrison. She had other items too. Some jewelry, a pocket watch, photographs in silver frames. She said you were downsizing, moving to assisted living. I wasn't moving anywhere. I was 63 years old, in perfect health, living in the house Margaret and I built together 40 years ago, and Vanessa had no right to touch Margaret's things." "Don't sell anything," I said. "I'll be there in 20 minutes." I'd been noticing things missing for weeks now. Small things at first. A silver letter opener from my desk, the crystal vase from the dining room, Margaret's pearl earrings from the jewelry box. When I asked about them, Vanessa said she'd put them away for safekeeping, that the house was cluttered, that I was getting forgetful. I wasn't forgetful. I was a structural engineer for 40 years. I still consulted on projects, still had every blueprint I'd ever drawn filed precisely in my office. My mind was sharp. But every time I questioned her, my son Marcus would step in, put his hand on my shoulder, tell me not to worry, that Vanessa was just trying to help. They'd moved in 6 months ago. Marcus had lost his job, he said, just temporary. They needed a place to stay, while he looked for work. Of course I said yes. He was my only child. What kind of father would I be if I didn't help? But Marcus didn't seem to be looking for work. He spent his days on the couch, playing video games, while Vanessa bustled around the house like she owned it, rearranging furniture, repainting walls without asking, throwing out Margaret's things because they were old or cluttered. I'd pushed back at first. This was Margaret's house, her taste, her choices, her memories. But Vanessa had a way of making me feel like I was being difficult, irrational, stuck in the past. "You need to let her go," she'd say, with that pitying smile. "It's been 2 years. Time to move on." But this, selling Margaret's music box, that crossed a line. The antique shop was downtown, a small place I'd passed 1,000 times but never entered. Inside, the dealer, an elderly man with kind eyes, had everything laid out on the counter. Margaret's music box, her silver hand mirror, the cameo brooch her grandmother gave her, a pair of candlesticks from our dining room, my father's pocket watch, the one I'd planned to give to Marcus someday. She said she'd be back today with more, the dealer said. I got suspicious when I saw the inscription. Most people don't sell things that personal unless something's wrong. How much did she want for all of this? $500. He shook his head. "Sir, I've been in this business 40 years. That music box alone is worth $3,000. Either she doesn't know what she has, or she's moving fast and doesn't care. I paid him $1,000 to hold everything, to not sell to Vanessa if she came back, to call me immediately if she did. Then I drove home, my mind working through the problem like I used to work through structural calculations. Every piece had to be accounted for, every stress point identified. When I got home, Vanessa was in Margaret's sewing room going through boxes. She jumped when I walked in, quickly closing the cardboard box she'd been filling. "You're back early," she said, her smile bright but her eyes wary. "What are you doing?" "Just organizing. This room is wasted space, Robert. We were thinking it could be a nursery. Once we get pregnant." A nursery. In Margaret's room, where she'd spent hours quilting, where she'd made blankets for every new baby in our family, where she'd taught our neighbor's daughter to sew before the girl went off to college. "Get out," I said quietly. "Excuse me?" "Get out of this room. Now." She laughed, that nervous laugh she used when she was trying to manipulate someone. "Robert, you're being ridiculous. We're just trying to help you move forward. You can't live in a shrine forever. This is my house, my wife's house, and you have no right to touch her things." Marcus appeared in the doorway. "Dad, what's going on?" "Ask your wife where your grandmother's music box is." Vanessa's face went pale, then flushed red. I don't know what you're talking about. The antique dealer on Maple Street called me. Seems someone tried to sell him quite a collection of my belongings today. Told him I was moving to assisted living. Marcus looked at Vanessa. You said you were donating those things. To charity. I am. The antique dealer must be confused. He had the music box, Marcus. The one I gave your mother for our 30th anniversary. He had your great-grandfather's pocket watch. He had items from this house that have been in our family for generations. Your wife tried to sell them for $500. They're worth at least $20,000. Marcus's face went white. Vanessa? We need the money, Marcus. You haven't worked in 6 months. Your father has this huge house, all these things he doesn't use, doesn't even look at. I was just trying to help. Help yourself, you mean? I was surprised by how calm my voice was. Years of managing construction sites, dealing with conflicts, staying level-headed in crisis. How many times have you done this? How many of Margaret's things have you sold? She didn't answer. Get out of my house, both of you. Today? Dad, come on, Marcus said. We have nowhere to go. You should have thought of that before you let your wife steal from me. We didn't steal. We're family. This stuff is just sitting here rotting. Mom's dead. She doesn't need it. And there it was. The thing I'd been afraid to acknowledge. My son didn't care about his mother's memory. Didn't care about me. He'd brought his wife into my home, and together they'd been slowly dismantling the life Margaret and I built, piece by piece, selling it off like we'd never mattered at all. I want you out by the end of the week, I said. Vanessa's face twisted with anger. You can't kick us out. We have rights. Tenant rights. You'll have to evict us, and that takes months. Fine. Then I'll start documenting everything. Every missing item. Every forged signature. Marcus's face went white. Vanessa? We need the money, Marcus. You haven't worked in 6 months. Your father has this huge house, all these things he doesn't use, doesn't even look at. I was just trying to help. Help yourself, you mean? I was surprised by how calm my voice was. Years of managing construction sites, dealing with conflicts, staying level-headed in crisis. How many times have you done this? How many of Margaret's things have you sold? She didn't answer. That night, I went through the house methodically, photographing everything, comparing what I saw to the photos Margaret and I had taken for insurance purposes 5 years ago. So many things were missing. An oriental rug from the guest room, a set of china from the cabinet, books from my library, first editions, some of them. I made lists, detailed inventories. By 2 in the morning, I had documented over $50,000 in missing items. Marcus and Vanessa avoided me for the next 2 days. They stayed in their room, only coming out when they thought I wasn't around. I heard them arguing late at night. Vanessa's voice shrill, insistent. Marcus is defeated, weak. Gerald called me into his office on Wednesday. I've done some digging, he said. Your daughter-in-law has quite a history. 3 previous relationships, all ending badly. 1 resulted in a restraining order. And she's got debt. Serious debt. Credit cards, personal loans, a gambling problem she's been hiding. Marcus doesn't know? I doubt it. She's good at hiding things. But here's what we can do. We file a police report for theft. We document everything. We start eviction proceedings, but more importantly, we make it clear that if she doesn't leave voluntarily, you'll press criminal charges. What about Marcus? Gerald's expression softened. That's up to you, Robert. But from what you've told me, he's been complicit in this. Maybe not actively stealing, but definitely looking the other way. I thought about Marcus as a boy. The son Margaret and I had raised, had loved, had sacrificed for. The child who used to climb into my lap and ask me to explain how buildings stood up, who wanted to know everything about everything. When had he become this man? This weak, spineless person who let his wife steal from his own father? File everything, I said. I'll give them 1 chance to leave quietly. After that, we pursue it all. The confrontation came on Friday evening. I'd asked Gerald to be there, along with Officer Patricia Chen from the local police department. I'd met Patricia years ago when she'd consulted with me on structural issues with the police station. She'd agreed to come, off duty, to witness the conversation. Marcus and Vanessa came downstairs at 6, as I'd requested. When they saw Gerald and Patricia, Vanessa turned to run back upstairs. "Don't," Patricia said calmly. "Let's just talk." We sat in the living room, Vanessa and Marcus on one couch, Gerald and Patricia and I across from them. I laid out the documentation on the coffee table. Photos, receipts from the antique dealer, lists of missing items, insurance records showing what had been in the house. "This is everything that's missing," I said. $57,000 worth of property. Some of it you sold. The rest, I assume, is hidden somewhere, waiting to be sold. Vanessa's jaw was set, her arms crossed. "You can't prove anything." "Actually, I can." Gerald pushed forward a folder. "These are receipts from 5 different antique dealers, 3 pawn shops, and 2 online marketplaces, all showing items sold by Vanessa Harrison. Some of the sales required identification, which you provided. Some required signatures, where you signed Robert's name. That's fraud and identity theft, on top of the basic theft charges." "This is ridiculous," Vanessa said, but her voice shook. "Marcus, tell them." Marcus was staring at the papers, his face gray. "Dad, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it was this much." "But you knew something." He couldn't meet my eyes. "She said she was just selling things you didn't want anymore, things that were in the way. She said you'd agreed." "When did I agree, Marcus? When did I ever say she could touch your mother's things?" "I don't know. I guess I didn't think about it." He ran his hands through his hair. "I've been depressed, Dad. Ever since I lost my job, I wasn't paying attention. I let her handle everything. You let her steal from me, from your own father, from your mother's memory." Patricia leaned forward. "Here's where we are. Mr. Harrison has enough evidence to press charges. Theft, fraud, identity theft. Miss Harrison, you're looking at serious felony charges. Prison time, not just fines." Vanessa finally looked scared. "But I'm pregnant." Everyone turned to stare at her. She put her hand on her stomach, defiant. "We're having a baby. You can't send me to prison. What about your grandchild, Robert?" I felt Gerald's hand on my arm, a warning. I took a breath, chose my words carefully. "If you're pregnant, that's between you and Marcus. It doesn't change what you did. But I'll make you an offer. One time. Leave today. Return everything you still have that belongs to me. Sign an agreement to pay back the value of what you sold, on a payment plan. Do that, and I won't press charges." "That's insane," Vanessa said. "We can't pay you back $50,000. "Then you can take your chances with the police. Your choice." Marcus looked at his wife, then at me. "Dad, please. If she's pregnant, that's your grandchild." "Is she pregnant, Marcus? Or is that another lie?" Vanessa's face flushed red, and I had my answer. Marcus saw it too. I watched something break in his expression, watched him finally see who he'd married. "Get out," he said to her, his voice barely a whisper. "Marcus." "Get out!" He stood up, shaking. "You lied about everything. You stole from my father, you sold my mother's things, and now you're lying about a baby?" "I could be pregnant. We've been trying." "No, we haven't. I told you I didn't want kids yet. I told you we needed to be stable first." He turned to me, and I saw my son for the first time in months. Really saw him. "Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have paid attention. I should have protected you and Mom's memory. I failed. I failed both of you." Gerald cleared his throat. "Marcus, you're welcome to stay while we sort this out. But Vanessa needs to leave. Tonight." We gave her 2 hours to pack. Patricia stayed to ensure she didn't try to take anything that wasn't hers. I went to my office. Couldn't watch her move through Margaret's house one more time. Marcus came to find me an hour later. "I'm leaving too, Dad. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I can't stay here. Not after what I let happen. Where will you go?" "Friend's couch. Until I figure things out. I'm going to find a job. Anything. I need to get my life together." He paused in the doorway. "I found some boxes in our closet. Mom's jewelry, some of her books. Things Vanessa was going to sell next. I'm leaving them in the guest room." After they left, after Patricia and Gerald left, after the house fell silent, I sat in the living room and looked around. It felt different, emptier, but also cleaner somehow, like a weight had lifted. I picked up the phone and called the antique dealer. I'm ready to pick up those items now. That night, I put Margaret's music box back on her dresser, wound it up, listened to the melody she loved, and I cried, for the first time since her funeral. Cried for her, for the son I'd lost, for the family that had broken apart. But I also felt something else. Relief. I'd stood up for Margaret, for myself, for what was right. I hadn't let them take everything. The legal process took months. Vanessa fought at first, hired a lawyer, tried to claim I'd given her permission for everything. But Gerald was thorough, and the evidence was overwhelming. Eventually, she signed the agreement. $500 a month for the next 8 years, plus return of the items she still had. It wasn't justice, not really, but it was something. Marcus checked in every few weeks. Calls at first, then occasional visits. He got a job at a warehouse, moved into a small apartment, started seeing a therapist. We were polite with each other, careful. The easy relationship we'd had before was gone, maybe forever, but there was something honest in what remained, something real. 6 months after they left, I met Eleanor at a community center workshop on local history. She was a retired librarian, had lost her husband 5 years prior. We started having coffee, talking about our lives, our losses, our hopes for whatever came next. I'm not looking to replace Margaret, I told her on our 4th coffee meeting, which was definitely a date, even if neither of us had called it that. I wouldn't want you to, Eleanor said. My Henry was the love of my life. But life is long, Robert. There's room for more than one chapter. She was right. I'd learned that the hard way. The chapter with Marcus and Vanessa had been painful, bitter, full of betrayal. But it taught me something Margaret always knew, that you have to stand up for what matters, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I started volunteering at the community center, teaching workshops on basic home repair and structural safety. Eleanor and I went to concerts, tried new restaurants, took day trips to places Margaret and I had never visited. I kept Margaret's room the way she left it, her sewing project still waiting, her music box on the dresser. But the rest of the house slowly changed. New paint colors, new furniture mixed with the old. A life that honored the past but wasn't trapped in it. Marcus came for Thanksgiving. Just him, no Vanessa. They'd divorced, he told me. It had been ugly, expensive, but final. He brought a pie he'd baked himself, burned on the edges but made with effort, with care. I'm seeing someone, he said over dinner. Therapist suggested I take it slow. But she's nice, Dad. Normal. Works as a teacher. Loves hiking. Has no interest in antiques or my family's money. We don't have family money, I said. I know. But Vanessa never believed that. She saw this house, saw Mom's things, and thought we were rich. She couldn't understand that everything we had, you and Mom built together over 40 years, that it wasn't just stuff to be sold. Eleanor, who'd joined us for dinner, reached over and squeezed my hand. It's what you do with your time on Earth that matters. The relationships you build. The memories you make. Marcus nodded. I'm starting to understand that, finally. After dinner, I took him up to Margaret's room, showed him the music box, the jewelry I'd recovered, the photos Vanessa hadn't managed to sell. Someday, I said, when you're ready, when you've found someone who understands what these things mean, some of this will be yours. Not because of their value, but because they're part of your history, your mother's legacy. I'm not ready yet, he said honestly. I know, but you will be. We stood there together, father and son, listening to the music box play its melody, and for the first time in 2 years I felt like we might actually be okay. Not the same as before, never the same, but maybe something stronger, something built on truth instead of obligation. I'd lost my wife. I'd nearly lost my son. I'd learned that the people you trust most can hurt you deepest. But I'd also learned that I was stronger than I thought, that I could stand up, fight back, protect what mattered. Margaret would have been proud of that, of me finding my backbone, setting boundaries, refusing to be a victim in my own life. And in the end, that was the greatest gift I could give her memory. Not keeping everything exactly as she left it, but living with the strength and dignity she'd always seen in me, even when I couldn't see it in myself. The music box wound down, the melody fading. I closed the lid gently, the way Margaret used to. Marcus put his arm around my shoulders, and we walked back downstairs together, back to Eleanor and Pi, and the life that was still waiting to be lived. Because that's what you do. You survive. You heal. You stand up for yourself. And then, when you're ready, you start again. To listen to the next story, click on the screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe if these real-life experiences resonate with you.